Coming up next on Global Perspectives, I have Ms. Jeanette Fonseca, founder of Artsy Partsy. Welcome to Global Perspectives. I am your host, Gaston Gomez, and today we'll have a candid conversation about culture and education with Ms. Jeanette Fonseca from Puerto Rico. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gaston.
Good, good. So I'm happy to be here at your studio. I don't get to go out in the community often, but I am excited to be here with you and have the opportunity to talk about your background, education, and culture. But then afterwards, I get to have a tour of your studio, so I look forward to that as well.
I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. So tell me about you. Where are you from? Where do you grow up? Also, how many languages do you speak? Tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So I am Puerto Rican. My mother and my father are from Puerto Rico, but my father, after college, joined the Army. So I did the traditional Army tour around the United States. We did Texas, Florida, North Carolina, and Maryland. Dad retired here in Maryland, over in Fort Meade. So we stayed here in Anne Arundel County. So.
And my next question was, why Anne Arundel County? But it's because of your family ended up staying here.
Correct.
And you chose to stay here.
For a short time after my father's retirement, we did have the opportunity to move to South America, which was exciting. And then there were some government changes in Ecuador, and we moved to Puerto Rico, which would have been home. But my father could not stay retired. So he's like, let's go back to Anne Arundel County. And that's where we just ended up here and love it.
Awesome. So how old were you when you were in Puerto Rico?
So I was
For the first
born,
time.
So I was born in Puerto Rico,
Okay.
And shortly after Christmas break, Mom took us back to our home in Alabama. But I would say every year until I was 16, I was in Puerto Rico for at least a month during the summer break. And then after college, I lived in Puerto Rico, fell in love, got married, started a family, and then moved back to Maryland and raised my kids in Anne Arundel County.
So great. So no education in Puerto Rico. Most of your education was here in the United States.
Correct.
Okay. So what was your, I would say, cultural shock every time you went to Puerto Rico or every time you came back? Spending time there and then spending time here, I'm sure it will be a sort of a cultural shock. So I wanted to, want to learn about your experiences.
I think that with every change within state, within country, there is a learning adjustment and a cultural shock and learning how things are done. I think that sometimes in my experiences in the Spanish, Latin American countries, things are done a little more slow. Well, here in Anne Arundel County, they're not too slow. So whenever I move there, I'm like, all right, guys, hurry up. And then when I move back, I'm like, okay, guys, slow down. So that,
so the timing
traffic.
or the pace is
The
one of
pace.
cultural shock.
I would say pace
the
and traffic
lifestyle.
are the ones that change most frequently. So pace and traffic.
All right. And what about culture, food, music?
Well, thankfully for the internet, I can listen to my music all over wherever I want. Food, as a mom of 4 children, you have to cook for your family. So I've always kept the Puerto Rican kitchen, rice, beans, chicken, plantains, and all of our savory foods I enjoy all the time. And then, of course, when I was in Puerto Rico, my kids ate Velveeta shells and cheese with chicken nuggets. So we definitely have a wide variety of meals that we
Recipes.
eat. It doesn't matter where we live. So we do a lot of traveling. We did a lot of traveling and a lot of moving. And it almost feels like when you're in Puerto Rico, Maryland is home, and when you're in Maryland, Puerto Rico is home. You equally love both of them. So.
What about when you moved to Ecuador? You and your family moved to Ecuador. For how long did you live there? And what was the cultural shock from Hispanic background moving to another country, but in the South American continent? How did that go? What was the highlight of your cultural shock or shocks that you went through or experienced?
Well, that was up to date probably the most exciting time of my life, but I didn't know it. I was a 10th grader in Old Mill High School, and my dad said, okay, time to move to South America. And I went, and it was a little cliche, but I had taken Spanish classes in Old Mill High School, and we had learned about mercados. So when I went to Ecuador and I was able to shop in a mercado, which is just a public market, it was like,
Supermarket.
wow, no, an outdoor market.
Like an outdoor
we went
market.
to an
Oh, okay.
outdoor market.
All
Like,
natural market.
All natural market where, you know, the natives would come down with their crops. So that was, again, the food is similar, the music is similar, the hospitality and the warmth and love of the people were similar. Schooling was entirely different. I think that, like, the students there learn algebra right after they learn the alphabet. And
So from
when I got there, I
basic,
was like, I'm supposed to know how to do what? So definitely the education system is different. So I wouldn't say one is superior to the other. They just have different focuses, and that was a big cultural shock. You know, sometimes the school janitor would have to not allow us in our classrooms because an iguana had gotten in through a window overnight. We had to wait for the iguana to be taken out of the classroom. So it was very different than Old Mill High School.
Oh, I bet. What about, it was a public school that you attended in Ecuador, right? Was it a public school?
No, I went to a private
Private
school
school.
in Ecuador.
But what was the expectation of participation of your parents in schools or in your school?
Well, my father actually moved us to Ecuador because he was working in the American school in Ecuador. It was called Colegio Americano. So Dad was running the business side of that school.
Oh,
so
interesting.
my dad's interaction was probably more than everyone's, a normal student. So that's a little tricky for me. But my parents have always been involved in our schooling, have always made it a priority. Have always known when the next test was coming and always knew the names of our teachers. So they were definitely
Very
present
engaged.
very engaged, regardless of the country or the class. They were there.
Good, good. And so going back to Ecuador, you stayed there for how long? How many years? Or did you graduate high school from
Well,
Ecuador?
I graduated high school there, and then
Okay.
I had to, just to be able to start American University, I did participate in the GED.
Okay.
So I had to take the GED so that the American universities would validate my education, and then I started school. So I did 2 semesters in an American university in Ecuador. Oh yeah, it's a whole different world. They have American University campuses down there. And then I moved to Florida.
Okay.
So I did some high school and college. I was in Ecuador for about 4.5 years.
Awesome. So take us back to Puerto Rico. I know you have some pictures that you showed me earlier. Tell us a little bit of those pictures. That they
Sure.
mean a lot to you, and I know they have sentimental value. And you know, share it with us, please.
I'm honored to share these. It's pretty exciting to share this one for you. So this was painted.
we want
This
to.
was something that hung in my family's house since the 1973 is when that was. And this is a road in Old San Juan in Puerto Rico. So this one was actually hung next to the key rack in my house. So I saw this my entire life.
growing
Doesn't
up,
matter
it was-
where I lived, this is the one that sat, like the keys were under this one. So I've been looking at this since I could reach the keychain. So that is Calle San Sebastián with the cobble streets and the colored buildings and very cultural to what Old San Juan looks like, right? So fast forward, a lot of years. I was invited on a visit to this street again as an adult.
Same as the other picture.
Same exact street. Same exact street. So this was actually my first date with my husband that we've been married 21 years. So we bought a more updated version of the
Of this
same
one.
image. It's the same street. But I just think it's nice that a piece of art was basically had a snapshot of where I would.
And it's part of your life.
It's part of my life. So
This is Old San Juan.
That
said
is Old
Old
San
San
Juan
Juan.
in Puerto Rico.
Beautiful. That's
Calle
nice.
San Sebastián.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing this. It's important for us to get to know more about you in a way that this is about your global, our global perspective of what do you see or how do you grow up, but also how do you see your family growing and or living in a different culture, even though they have the Puerto Rican descent, and food is Puerto Rican food is always part of the household when it comes to the items that you guys eat, but also the language that you speak Spanish every day to your children, and so learning more about you to me is valuable, and I think our viewers also will appreciate that as well. So now that you are here in Anne Arundel County, I know your family, you have children, and I met you years ago. First time we met, it was about 7 years or so. It was at your house. You're starting, or you have the artsy-partsy business mindset already, but it was in your house at the time. Is that correct?
Correct. I was interested in teaching kids art and just enjoying sharing art with children. And I started a business and I ran it out of my home, and it slowly grew to the facility that we have here. And we're grateful for the community that has embraced us. And I feel that this is also a way to show other children part of my culture. They see my art from Ecuador, I see my art from all the different places that I've gone. I've got some Cuban art hanging on the walls. And every time a kid says, oh, I like that, then I'll tell them the story. I was in Miami and I bought that, or that's a drawing of my parents, or that's the beach I used to visit as a child. So I've got a lot of culture on my walls also.
Why art? It could have been music, or it could have been food, or culinary arts. But I'm interested in knowing why arts, which to me is important because most of our, I would say, Central American and South American countries and Caribbean countries, they don't embrace the cultural arts as much as they do with music and culinary arts. But I'm interested in knowing why the arts, or the fine arts, I would say.
I'm not sure if I picked art, or I think art picked me. I believe that as a young girl, I always had a pen and paper and scissors. Scissors are my favorite art supply. I could cut a portrait of you out and would thoroughly enjoy it. I could be sitting here with a pair of scissors and a piece of paper, and by the time we finish talking, I've got a picture of you that I can give you. So I think that it's something that I was just born with. It excites me.
It's in you, it's in your blood.
It opens communication. It just picked me. So my father paints, and I'm not sure that we knew that my father painted until he finally retired. So he just took an art class, and now he does a beautiful job. And it picked me. That's the only explanation that I could have.
And I don't think there are any words for you to explain that, because you were born with a talent.
Yeah.
I mean, for what I'm hearing is that, yeah, you had a talent as a child, and now you are sharing that talent with others, by having training educators to be art teachers, and for them to teach students and other community members, right, to do better at the arts. That's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. So, just so you know, coming up next, we'll have a tour of the studio by Ms. Jeanette Fonseca. So I'm excited to share with you the spaces that are utilized in this building, in these facilities, so you get to learn about the meaning and the background of each site or space in this studio. So please stay tuned. So Ms. Jeanette, tell us about this classroom.
So this classroom is a class that currently has some homeschool students, and they are just supplementing their home curriculum with some art lessons here. And during the evening times, we have students ages 9 to 15, 16 taking art classes here with Miss Kimberly.
How often do they come to this?
So this particular class is once a month. We do offer once a week classes for the homeschool community.
Great. And so besides the homeschool students, you also service, I would say, students in our schools, right?
Correct. I do visit the school system and different schools, high schools, elementaries, and preschools from Anne Arundel County.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jeanette, tell us about this classroom.
Well, this classroom has dual function. This end of the classroom is set up for Mr. Josh, who is a retired Marine from Anne Arundel County,
And they do
also
this?
educated in Anne Arundel County. Yes, and he teaches drawing. So he teaches two classes, action art and advanced drawing for youth. That's kind of what Josh looks like, a little less warm and fuzzies. So that class, those classes meet weekly here. From also ages 8 to 16 take his classes. And then the other end of the classroom is kind of where we keep our sewing storage, and we have weekly sewing classes open for the evening for anyone who wants to take them, and we also have a homeschool program. On Friday evenings we have a sewing workshop, so the classroom is set up for sewing workshop, and these are some of the projects that the students are able to just come in, sit down in front of a machine, and get help making.
So I see they also make bags.
Yes, they make all sorts of things, aprons, bags, pillows, shorts, totes, all sorts of things.
How often a week do you say?
So we do have sewing weekly, yes, and then we do have bi-monthly clubs. So every other Friday, folks can come in with either their own project or pick a project from the table to complete. So we have a lot of fun activities in the Fibers Club.
Do you offer morning and evening, or
Yes.
pretty much all day?
Our classes start about 10 o'clock in the morning
Okay.
for adults and homeschool community. And then we also serve field trips. We also go out to the public schools. So we start about 10 o'clock in the morning and end about 8 o'clock at night on various days.
So your schedule is very flexible when it comes to offering services on-site, but also off-site.
We are flexible. We have long days. Yes, we have a lot to fit in our schedule.
Great. This is lovely. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoy seeing the artwork, but also what they do here when it comes to the sewing.
Thank you.
Reminds me of my grandmother. She used to love this sewing part. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jeanette, tell us about this specific area. I do see that it's very colorful, but also it looks fun. So tell us about this.
Thank you for the compliment. Yes, it's very colorful and it's a lot of fun. This is our library of canvases. So when you book a class or choose to host a private event, you're able to pick the painting or the lesson that you're going to engage in. So we have about 700 canvases for our guests to choose from, ranging from airplanes to zebras. We have all sorts of fun designs. So these are all created by artists here in the studio, staff, employees, residents of Anne Arundel County. A lot of them have lived in Anne Arundel County their entire life. So this is our library of art. So I pull as an example, this is the Annapolis Cathedral. So this is a nice painting that we do in acrylic. This is an 8x10 canvas with stretched canvas over top of it, and this is the top of the dome and the nice patina that has already gone on. So this is a fairly simple canvas, but yet beautiful and easy for anyone to learn how to paint.
What about an animal?
An animal. Okay, so let's do, I have a beautiful llama. This one's a little more difficult, but it's extremely beautiful.
It is colorful and beautiful, yes.
It's absolutely beautiful. So this little design here says that it's the difficulty level lets us know that it's a little tougher rather than a beginner. So that's an animal.
So you have animals, objects. You said airplanes or
I do have
flying objects?
I do have, let's see, flying objects. I was going to pull a card. No, I can't find.
Airplane?
All right, let's see.
Oh, that one.
This
yeah.
is a very basic one that maybe a 4 or 5-year-old might be able to come in and do. We provide them the basic stencil drawing of this, and then we encourage them to use lots of color choices. And I believe the clouds go on top of the plane. So this plane is heading in the wrong direction, huh? It depends how you look at it, and it can go
Hey,
anyway.
it's about being creative and
yeah.
artistic. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Very nice. And fun.
One of the
And this
the
one
favorite
is
ones.
the airplane side view.
Yeah, that's an airplane.
So
side
this one
view.
is going the right direction.
That one's going in the right direction.
Love it. Love it. Very nice. So you have about 700 canvas.
Roughly 700. That's without counting our seasonal ones, like an owl dancing with maracas, because why not?
And that will be for the
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
So we have this same owl in different, so we have him for St. Patrick's Day, we have him for all sorts of different festivities. So here he is, kind of in love.
St. Valentine's.
Yep. So we have him all in different designs.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jeanette, tell us about this special library of objects that you have here. I do see that you have these wooden pieces, but
Yes.
you guys make them here.
Correct.
And so tell me how you guys make these and how they all turn out to be as beautiful as these pieces of art.
So just as we have artists creating images for canvases, we also have artists drawing electronically, and we send a message to a laser machine that gives us the instructions on what to cut. So we draw and cut these here in the studio, and these are family boxes and art kits that folks can buy and paint on their own time. So we have lots of seasonal designs, and we have a lot of fun designs that we create here in the studio. So they are, this is a finished product of a llama and a cactus. Seem to like llamas, huh? And then we have the monarch butterfly. This was actually done for an event at one of Anne Arundel County public schools. They have a monarch butterfly as their logo,
as the
so this
logo.
was a group event for them
Monarch
there. So we
Academy.
drew this for them, correct. We drew this out for them, and then we cut it, and this was an event held for them.
And I do see that you have those
Unicorns and cars, yeah, those are little wooden puzzle kits. It's a bunny.
This is really, really, really awesome.
Really fun,
I
right?
love it. Beautifully designed.
Thank you.
So they get to paint it a
Correct.
color?
Yes.
Beside it.
So this is the smallest one, so this would be an all-inclusive kind of kit.
Oh, this is a
Where-
kit.
Yeah,
The families
so if you're
can-
headed out to the beach and you're like, I don't want to lug everything, but I'll need something for a rainy
Ready
day.
to go.
You just toss that in your bag, and then
And
this
it
is
turns
the
into
end
the-
results. It
Oh,
has absolutely
wow.
everything
So you
in
can
it.
make it an ornament or just
Yeah,
hang it
Just
somewhere.
a nice little charm. Yeah,
Beautiful. Beautiful. Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing.
thank you.
Ms. Jeanette, we came to the end of our visit, but I really enjoyed having a tour, getting to know you, and getting to see all the great things that you do and offer for our students in Anne Arundel County. So tell us about this special room.
This is our party room. This is where we celebrate art events, art themes parties, and birthdays. And our mural is a reflection of the joy that you should feel when you're celebrating here with us. It's a nice, colorful, vibrant mural painted by our instructor, Miss Kimberly. So it's almost our highlight of celebration.
And how big is this room, or how many people can you hold in this room?
So currently in our occupation, we're still sticking to 50% occupancy, just to allow folks for social distancing. So we host parties of up to 40 guests.
Up to 40. That's
Yes.
wonderful. It's good to have this space available for anyone interested in celebrating a special occasion, a birthday, and including the arts and crafts in the celebration, right? So thank you again. I look forward to seeing you again soon. And so before we go, I would like to share the following quote with you by Theodore Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you are halfway there. See you next time. Thank you.